Hello everyone, this is Mr. Appel. Now I'm going to show you a little bit tricky example of factoring by grouping. So we're still going to group, we're still going to do the same thing we've done before, which is to split it down the middle, look for our GCF. GCF of those two terms is a squared, and so we're left with 5 in the first term minus a in the second term, and then plus the GCF of the second part, which is a 3. And then what's left over? 3 times a is 3a minus 3 times 5, which is 15. But now things get interesting, because what I notice is it doesn't appear that each one has a common factor. This one has a 5 minus a, but this has an a minus 5. However, those look pretty similar. And what I notice is they're actually just opposites of each other. And here's what I mean by that. If I were to multiply, let's say, -1 by a minus 5, I would distribute the -1. I'd get -1a or negative a plus 5, which if I wrote that in the other order, would actually just be 5 minus a, which is the first term over here. It's that 5 minus a. So when the two terms are exact opposites of each other, we can factor out a -1 to make them look the same. And so I'm going to do that here. And so I'm going to leave, you can do either one. I could make this one, I could factor a negative out of this first one and make that become an a minus 5. Or I can factor a negative out of the second one and make that become a 5 minus a. I'll do the second one since that's what I just illustrated here. And so I'm going to leave the a squared times 5 minus a on the left. And now I'm going to factor out a -1. So this becomes a -3 times 5 minus a. And if you want to if you don't believe that, or you're not sure that that makes sense or is legal, if you look at just this part over here, this part right here, if you multiply that out, -3 times 5 is -15, and -3 times -a is positive 3a, or 3a minus 15, which is in fact equal to what I started with on the right side. And so perfectly legal move, something we'll use a lot, factoring out a negative. Okay, so just backing up, now we've got it in a situation where we have that common factor we've been accustomed to. We factor out the 5 minus a, which is the common factor between the two. On the left, we're left with an a squared. On the right, we're left with a -3. And that is our final answer. That's all for now. Actually, one other thing I'll just mention, this is true with all of these problems, it really doesn't matter which order you do that in, right? Those are just two factors multiplied together. Commutative property says the order doesn't matter. So if you wrote it as a squared minus 3 times 5 minus a, that's the same. And hopefully you kind of are aware of that already, but I figured I'd mention it since this was a multiple choice question, and I believe I wrote the answer choice looking like the second one as opposed to the first. But either would be totally fine. Now, that's all for now. Thanks.